Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday, August the 9th, 2019. It is 4 p.m. in New York. That's 1 p.m. in Los Angeles time and 9 p.m. in London. That would make it 5 a.m. Tokyo time and 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that the two of us are back doing a Friday show after a couple-week layoff. It's been a bit. And we're not used to being that big of a time span between when we do shows, huh?
It's been a while, yeah.
It has indeed, but it's been good because we had a nice vacation in the Cape, and you had a good getaway the previous week. So, you do these things in the summer, right? You have to do mental health days and mental health weekends and weeks and so forth because that's what summers are for. But we are now back into the swing of things with talking about the law of attraction and all the different ways that it shows up in our daily lives. And once again, I come into a Friday without having a definite topic in mind, but I can tell you I have a way to kind of get the conversation started, Linda. I'll be curious to see what your take is on it. But like I said, Louise and I got back from our vacation after, we took the vacation last Friday through Monday. Got back Tuesday and hit the ground running, and oh boy, was there a lot of running to do. The week has been kind of hectic, to say the least. I was glad that I had the shows to do to kind of break things up a little bit, but I mean, today in particular, I actually got into a mode I hadn't been in quite some time, which is where I find myself focusing on problems rather than on solutions. And today I was really focusing on problems, and I was getting them. I was getting them in spades. I had an issue that still isn't completely resolved, but mostly is now, with my email, where my email just was not working properly. And it was something I should have been able to figure out. I knew that, but I couldn't quite find what it was. And I spent like hours on it. It's like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of this problem. What's the nature of this problem? I don't get what the problem is. And I finally took a walk and said, oh yeah, solutions. I forgot. And I guess my point is, it's so easy. I mean, we learn this stuff. We learn how law of attraction works. We learned about how to meditate, how to get ourselves into a good frame of mind. And then, some little crisis comes along and it's like it goes out the window. We forget for a time, Why is that?
You know what? I'm almost cracking up.
Why?
Topic, because I just finished recording a video. The title is, I have my notes here from just doing the video. How to stay in your truth, which is love, during intense energy shifts.
How do we do that? We keep coming up with the same topic each time. How do we do that?
This one passed. Intense energy shifts. Yeah. I've been deep in it for like 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks. Definitely a week or more.
Uh-huh.
And there happens to be, and I don't know astrology, but I do know I am a Cancer. And so far during Cancer, we had an eclipse, a new moon, a Mercury in retrograde, and all this kind of shifting stuff going on. And then we come into this Lionsgate energy, which I don't know a lot about that either, but it's these portals of energy. And the Lionsgate was, the intense part of it was 8/8. Supposedly starts July 26th through 8/12. Well, I think I've been doing that whole 2 weeks of like, oh my God, totally stuck in negative thinking. And I'm like, oh my God, I teach this. I know this stuff. But I couldn't, I'm telling you, I every time I would go up, boom, right back down again. I mean, I was just to the point where I knew part of the lesson too was where I just stopped everything. I didn't do anything for building my business, nothing. I was totally just purging stuff in my house, going through my garden, getting rid of all this clutter. My husband builds stuff, and we have a shop out back, and there was all kinds of things around that it was time to get rid of,
Right.
I was chopping up, I had like stacks of crates, crates, those big crates that things get shipped on.
Right.
Like 2 tall stacks of those. Right? So my husband was going to make me build a shed out of them at one point, right? Meanwhile, they've been outside in the weather for all that time, so I chopped them all up for wood for the fire for this winter, right? Okay. Anyway, I started feeding my energy into clearing out my space, which is a big big part of this energy right now. Clearing out clutter. Because we're doing all this purging of energetic patterns and programs. Oh, I have my window open. I'll shut it in a minute.
Oh, I wondered what that was.
I didn't realize the window was open.
That's all right.
So yes. So we've been doing all this purging. I'm talking about this a lot, right? Well, I mean, part of that, too, is your environment. Because this new energy is coming in. It's like we need to make space for this new energy to come in so that we can hold more energy, higher energy. That's why we're purging out all this patterns, programs, beliefs that don't support us anymore. Whether you know it or not, you're going through this purging. There's energy coming in, light codes of energy that we don't know what they are, but they're coming in and they're meant to help the whole planet evolve into this higher vibration, which is the vibration of love. And the more we stay in love, the less horrible things happen. And even by one individual holding their light strong and staying in their love, that ripples out to the masses. So the more and more single people, individuals that we get to do it, that will start talking about it, like me and you, we'll get more people to do it, it'll start spreading, because that's the best kind of energy. It's like a smile. It's contagious, right? A yawn is contagious. Love is contagious if we just allow it. So purging, big thing. So, and I kind of knew that. So I'm like, I'm just going to do all this clearing. I'm going to put my energy here. I want to be active. And I would meditate to get out of it too. But I couldn't always get into that space of meditation where I can listen to it so easily. I just couldn't get there. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So then I started I listened to some other people's audios, meditations, guided meditation, which is easier. It's easier to let yourself go with a guided meditation.
Sure. Yeah.
And I could start feeling that inner space again. I started feeling my light. I'm telling you, it's only like in the last 2 days that I've actually returned back to me. So I just shot this whole video about that. And I have to edit it still and get it ready to put it out there. But yeah, this is what's going on. You're not alone. Even people who you would think, you might look at them and say, oh, everything's going great for them. You don't know. You don't know what stuff is going on for them.
That's true.
What they're bringing up to let go of. And, it's never easy.
It's an interesting thing because, I was, the good news is I was aware. I was recognizing what was going on. I was recognizing that I was in a space where I wasn't always focused the way I wanted to focus. I wasn't always staying with what I wanted to stay with. So I recognized it. And that in of itself, that's a big improvement compared to, say, 5 years ago. So definitely good stuff going on there. And I was also reminded of what they teach about when you're just doing your own meditation, that the meditative process is you sit there, maybe you do a sound in your head, but just focus on your breathing, something very simple, and then your mind wanders, and then you pull it back, and then your mind wanders again, and then you pull it back. I was reminded of that because my mind kept constantly wandering all over the place. Even when I was taking my walk, I took I called it a sanity walk. Normally it's like a nature walk or, get out to breathe walk, but today was a sanity walk. And I was just like every 3 seconds, my mind was going off in this direction, that direction. It's like, whoa, just slow down, just come back here. And it was still flying off, and I just kept bringing it back and bringing it back. And
I'm actually kind of glad to hear that. Because that's the truth. And the thing is, it is true. You just have to notice it. And so the more you get on this journey, the more you notice when you're off. Which is good, because then you can be with it and process it, look at it. Like with meditation, you can look at it, usually it goes away. But they kept coming in. It's the same thing. It just kept coming in. So I'd like to look at it this way, that those things that were coming in, they had to come in. They were just showing up. They're just showing themselves. So that can be part of letting them go.
And plus, it's also, I have to remind myself, I attracted all of them. I may not have intended to attract all of them, but I did. I brought all of them to me, and if they all showed up at once, it's because I was attracting pretty intensely. I was focused on some pretty serious stuff, and all of a sudden it was showing up. So when I realized that, I say to myself, well, I got nothing to complain about. That's why I might as well just, let it go. Just relax, because I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who brought it in, so, oops. Made a mistake. Didn't mean to quite do that. Time to shift the energy. Trying to shift the focus. And,
I like that you said that, and I wish I would have included that in the video I just shot, because I've been doing that too. I'm like, okay, I created this. But when you say you created this, it kind of softens the energy right there.
It does, yeah.
Okay? Yeah, okay, I created it. So, and I really truly believe there is a purpose, right? So I'm like, okay, so maybe I can't see the purpose of this right now, but I'm just going to let it be. You know, I have a sticky on my laptop. What does it say here? It says, "Thank you, God, for helping me to understand that this problem has already been solved for me."
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
So I've been looking at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good reminder. That's exactly what I need to remind myself of today, that I don't have to solve this problem. It is not my job to solve all the problems of the world. Right. It isn't my job actually to solve any problems if I really don't want to. I can just put it out there. I want it solved and then leave it. Just leave it right there. Now, do I do that? Absolutely not. I spend a lot of time trying to solve problems, but nevertheless, I don't have to. It's not required.
But you know what? The solving of the problems is good when it's inspired, when you feel energized and inspired.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right? Then you know. But when it's such a struggle and it's so hard, that's when you got to go do something else.
Yeah.
Cut up a whole bunch of crates and chop them into pieces to go in the fireplace.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to do it too.
The thing I like to remind myself of too is I chose to come here.
I sometimes question my judgment, I have to admit. Like, why did I come here?
You chose to come here. So if I chose to come here, there's a purpose to this experience I'm having right now.
Well, I like Abraham's answer on that one, because they answered that specifically. Well, why do we put ourselves through all this craziness? And their answer was very simple. Chocolate, colors, all the things that you can only experience when you're in physical form. And they're right. That's exactly why we come here. There's a whole lot of good stuff to experience here in physical form, and it makes it totally worthwhile. I mean, if you don't have a physical body, how do you taste chocolate? There's no way to do it.
Right.
But when you're in physical form, it's like, oh, chocolate.
But still, you choose to come here and either have some things you have to face or have an easy life.
It could be that too, sure.
But if you chose to come here and have these obstacles or things that come up to deal with, well, you chose those too. Because your soul is going through an expansion, a learning, or a releasing of old karmic stories. Carry through any further, right? So, and even still, knowing that, I'd be like talking, coaching myself, and I'm like, yeah, bullshit. Right now, I'm just going to be miserable. That's my choice, right? That's my choice. Again, even though you don't realize you're choosing it, you are choosing it. So that's why, for me, if you can just go into meditation, if you can't do it on your own, listen to guided, or like go out in nature, go to a movie, go do something that distracts you and takes your focus somewhere else for a while, so that that helps you to return back to you, and actually really just ask your angels and guides, send me the light. I'm totally depleted, obviously, or I wouldn't be acting like this.
Right. Yeah.
To draw in more light, ground. I've been going out barefoot on my lawn, just feeling the earth.
By the way, for anybody who's looking for guided meditations, Linda led us through, I think it was 5 of them this past winter, and they can be found in the archives. Go to loatoday.net and look under Linda Armstrong. You'll find 5 of them from February or something like that.
That's one of my favorite series too. Those are the ones where you connect with your future self and you go back and you heal your inner child.
Right. Yeah.
So, those are cool.
Yeah. So guided meditations are available. And also, we've done some others. Cindy Chavez led us through 1 or 2 of them. And I think there was another one. I think Wendy Dillard maybe. But there are a few of them on the site. So feel free to dig them all up. But definitely you want to check out Linda's, because Linda's were absolutely outstanding. You
know what? I wonder if you have the time, put a category of meditations, shows I had meditations.
I think I started that. I don't think I ever went through and grabbed all the episodes and plugged it in there. But I'll put that on my to-do list, which I refuse to look at for a while because I'm overwhelmed with stuff to do. But I will get to that. I will do that at some point. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, Jeffrey, of course, is posting. He's saying a lot of people have been looking for guidance. It's a part of self-care. And he's right about that, because that's where the best guidance comes from, isn't it? It comes from within. It comes from basically reaching into who we are inside, sitting there quietly and just letting the information come.
Yeah. Well, and the best way to do that, is just meditate and connect back to you, because you are light. So, when you, at least for me, when I'm meditating and I start to really feel that expansion, it's just all the, I just feel my connection to that light, which is, it's like there's no end to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that space where I start then sending that energy to everything that comes to mind, and I have to send it to the whole universe, because I just can't, I don't want to leave anything out.
Right.
Because energy feels so good.
Yeah. That's what we were feeling when we were on the Cape. I mean, we started off by visiting Alex, and that was really great. But then we just went on to the rest of the vacation. And, I mean, you know how it goes. You go on a vacation, and like for the first few hours or first day or two or whatever, you're just de-stressing, and you can just kind of feel it melting away from you. But at the same time, we're on the Cape, which is like a gorgeous place. There's beaches, there's sun, there's just fabulous, absolutely incredible seafood. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to just really get your energy up. And it doesn't take long. I mean, our energy was pretty high by Saturday, and it was, great from that point on. But once you get into that place, all of a sudden, your hunger for the energy kind of goes up a level, because, okay, now you're tasting it again. Now you're feeling good again. Like, oh yeah, I want more of this. I want more of this. And then, the thought processes get going and so forth.
Oh, what happened yesterday too? Because yesterday was 8/8, that Lionsgate energy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And, my husband he's restoring a truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had the doors open because he wanted to air it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I happened to be walking past the back of my house, and I could see out the windows that the doors are open, and it looked like it was going to start to rain. So I thought, okay, let me just go out there and shut the doors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I go outside, and it's kind of that golden hour where everything's very vibrant and yellow.
Ooh,
golden.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm looking around, and I was like in awe. And I'm looking through my neighbor's yard, and I'm seeing just the color that's in that yard. And then I turn around, and I look, and right above my house was this huge double rainbow.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh my God, that energy. I mean, that was really cool, because it was exhilarating.
Mm.
Just being in that, maybe pre-storm. It never really stormed, but it rained a little bit. With that light, and everything was so vibrant and alive, and the color, the rainbow was, I took a picture of it. I think I posted it on Facebook. The pictures never do justice to a rainbow.
No, they really can't.
A good camera that can maybe capture the light. But I got a decent shot of it over my head, my house.
Well, especially with a double rainbow.
And I didn't even realize it was the actual Lionsgate 8/8. I didn't get lost track of what day it was.
Yeah, right.
What day is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was the day, 8/8 Lionsgate.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, funny thing with rainbows, when they happen, we are looking at the rainbows. The camera captures the entire scene. And rainbows always happen in the context of usually rain. I mean, that's where it comes from. So you have clouds, you have all this atmospheric stuff going on, and it creates usually a dark background. But when we see a rainbow, we just see the rainbow. We blank the rest of that out, which is really interesting. But it's also, it shows what kind of attachment we have, how much we love the beauty of, oh, look at this spectrum of color that came down through the atmosphere to the earth. We appreciate that, the light, right?
Vibrations of light that we're seeing. But the sky was still blue. I mean, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's really good. And then double rainbow just makes it twice as good.
Should we pick a card?
Yeah, let's do some cards. Why not?
Let's see, what do we have?
Which deck is this now?
Upside down contract. All right, somebody's got a contract going on out there. We'll see.
Okay.
This is the Energy Oracle.
Energy Oracle cards, okay.
Upside down contract. Now, I mean, I could apply to a bunch of things, but in one of my courses I used to give, meditation courses, I had this one woman come in, and she was buying a house. She pulled this card upside down. This is like an 8-week session course, right? We're doing 8 weeks. She pulled this upside down contract card like 3 times. And she was going through all this struggle with the contract for the house.
Crazy.
But then she got it a 4th time, and it was in the upright position. And like the next week, closed. But she was fretting it. She was afraid because, when she got it the 2nd time, oh no, I'm not going to get this house. What's going to happen? But anyway, I think there's a good part to it, even to the upside down version of this part. So
I'm guessing that I probably sound different right now, and it's because I found it to change in my settings. So if I sound better now, you understand it was deliberate. It wasn't by accident.
Okay. I didn't notice the difference.
Well, good.
Contract, partnership, or legal commitment. So in the reverse, it says this contract card reverse indicates the ending of a previous connection or where a future commitment is concerned. Ooh, let's apply that to some kind of thing.
Previous connection. That part's really interesting.
Yeah, or maybe a soul contract that you're changing your mind on. Ooh.
That could be. Yeah.
Or so it says, or wherever there's a commitment, a future commitment concern. It could bring warnings of delay and perhaps even possible disappointment. The sale of a house could fall through, a job offer might not come when expected, or a romantic union may be stalled. Don't give up hope, however. This delay may provide some purpose or protection for you, and something even better could be on its way. Now, that actually happened for my friend. What turned out in the end, with all the delays, actually was a better deal by the time they closed.
Okay.
She was fretting it the whole time, though. So it says, this card reverse cautions you not to become desperate. Your needy, urgent energy could actually postpone the desired outcome even more. Continue taking action, even if it's in another direction, and your patient resolve will pay off. If the breakup of a relationship is involved, always remember that you deserve to be honored. So if anyone this is applying to that is going through some kind of a breakup, take that to heart there. Open your heart and your life to the person who is willing to be fully present and loving, because that person's out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That person, see, it says that person's waiting to commit. That person is waiting to commit to your own self-honoring heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I actually can think of a way that card does apply in Louise's in my life. I can't go into a lot of detail about it because I haven't cleared it with Louise, but it definitely applies to her gardening services business, and it also applies to the fact that we've been looking to upgrade our living situation, looking for a home. And there's one particular house that we just recently saw that we liked a lot, a little outside of our available price range right now, although a similar home will probably be within price range in about 6 months. So that's the good thing. But the point is that there's a lot going on that we could easily get upset about because it wasn't working out quite the way we wanted to. And that card really touches on the right thing. No, don't go down that road. Just because it hasn't worked out the way you want it right now doesn't mean it's not going to work out even better in a relatively short period of time.
Yep.
And that's hard to remember sometimes, but it's important. Oh, hi, Sarah. Sarah's saying hello. Nice to see you too. Thank you for joining us.
Trying to put a smiley face in the chat box. I don't know, I'm getting all these faces, but I'm just going to post them.
Okay, well, that's all right. That's fine. Oh, you got some good ones there. I like those. Yeah. Living high vibe. Absolutely.
I changed my YouTube name. I extended it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
actually, that was a very appropriate card. It may not have seemed it at first, but it was for me, and I suspect it was for other listeners as well.
It was for me, too, because I think this cycle that I've repeated 3 times and I'm still working on an end tail of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a contract that we can let go of now.
Yeah. Yep. In fact, I can think of another contract. It just occurred to me. Something else I can't talk about, but there's another contract involved that I definitely would do well to let go of. No doubt about it in my mind whatsoever. So, yeah.
All right. So look at that.
Yeah. Oh,
so let's see if the Divine Energy Oracle is going to speak to this other card or give us something different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it always does. I remember when you first came on board and you started doing cards like this, and I always had that skepticism. I'm no longer skeptical because every single time that you do this, they always hit the mark. They're always hitting something going on either in my life, your life, or a listener mentions something. It's always right on. It's really something.
If anyone wants to go look at my August energy update, I posted it a week ago or so. I was doing this. I was just pulling oracle cards and filming myself as asking for what's happening in August.
Right.
And so the cards were making sense. Then I want to pull, like, I like to pull a final clarification card or something more you can tell us about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting these cards that made no sense.
Oh.
So I get the first one, and the answer, I get a no card. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me get clarity on that card. And I pull another card, and I get something like, I don't know, not yet, or wait, or I don't know. I did 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember what they were right hand off the top of my head at this moment. But those 3 cards gave, I think, the most important message of the whole reading.
Really?
And ultimately what it came to, I'm trying to think back now, is really just trusting yourself to know what is right for you. Right? And I was also in the beginning of the video, I was talking about how I just like to read, even though I can interpret the cards however I'm going to interpret them.
Right.
But I like to read it from the author who wrote their description of that card, because, maybe someone else would hear it in a whole different light, how it would have, pertained to them.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I give my thing, but I like to read it from the book so that someone can get whatever is really truly meant just for them.
Which is good, because, we can't know in advance what's going on with somebody else. Like you said, there are a lot of people with a lot of things going on, but the card can still apply to a whole bunch of them.
Like some people don't like to read from the book or let people see them read from the book or something because they feel like they should know better. But I know what I know about the card, but what if there's something other message meant for you besides what I'm picking up on? And so I want to give that person the opportunity to find out for themselves.
Exactly.
So I started talking about that a little in the beginning, went into the thing, then got these 3 cards, which to me were totally saying that message that was put together at the end.
Okay.
But, you just never know.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt it, because I'm like, okay, I don't doubt it. This means something. I don't know what it means, but this means something.
And that is actually part of a theme that I've been thinking about for quite some time, which is I keep running into scenarios over and over again that remind me of this. As much as I enjoy trying to kind of suss out, so, what is this person all about? What are they thinking about? What tendencies do they have and so forth? I love doing that. That's like the love that anybody who has a love of psychology, that's what they're liking doing. They want to understand what makes people tick. And as much as I like doing that, I have to remember, I don't know what's going on in somebody else's head. I don't know what's going on in their lives. I don't know what their experiences are. I know like a little slice, perhaps, if I had a chance to talk with them or converse with them or interchange in some way with them. But that's it. That's all I know. And because of that, any assumptions that I might be making about them are probably false. So, like you said, when you're drawing a card, it doesn't pay for you to try to figure out in advance, well, this is what the card's going to mean for people, because you don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, and the other thing when you said about assumptions, it's kind of like judgments too. Like we don't.
It is.
Yeah, and judgment never gets you anywhere.
Well, it does get you somewhere, just not where you want to go.
Right. Rather you want to come from your heart, and it's like, okay, I don't really know what's going on for them, but all I can do is just send them love along on their journey.
Yeah, yeah. And I also find that's also a good time to not just. I've been following your example on that because you've talked a lot about just randomly putting out love to people who you see are struggling or whatever, just send love their way. I'm also reminding myself whenever I do that to also send some love to myself. I'm doing it in both directions because I need it just as much as they do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a way of kind of tapping into that reserve that we're all connected to and drawing more of it into my own life as well as into somebody else's life. So I feed both directions at the same time now.
But don't forget. Well, the way I like to do it is I like to connect to the light and send it out. So I'm feeding myself that light.
When you do that, sure. Yeah.
That light is love. So you're feeding yourself love. Okay, so the card that came up is Address Your Addictions.
Okay.
Let's see what Sonia Shoke has to say about
that. And it's in capital letters, too. They were sparkly, but it's still capital letters. So this is the author saying this is significant.
And you're right, because they're not always caps.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Address your addictions. It's time to acknowledge the addictive patterns and behaviors that are stealing your light. There could be so many. Okay. So is it alcohol, drugs, food, shopping, overspending, overworking, gambling, worrying, gossiping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? What about an addiction to negative emotions, such
Oh,
as
God, yes.
disappointment, fear, and victimization.
I don't think I know anybody who's not in some way addicted to negative emotions.
Yeah.
And I can tell because of how much time we spend focused on them.
So it says, your divine energy is calling you to address your addictions so that you can live as free and as an unlimited spiritual being once again. So you can be a free, unlimited spiritual being. So we are all prey to addictive negative behaviors, but the price we pay to leave them unchecked is the loss of peace in our spirit and loss of authentic connection with others. It's time to recognize these costly indulgences and have the courage and the discipline to become free of them once and for all. Pray for help from your higher self. So your divine invitation is to wake up from denial and identify your addictions. They're robbing you of your creativity, connection, and peace and must be conquered now. Your soul is asking you to enter the discomfort that comes with breaking free of these self-undoing behaviors in order to live in a more conscious, creative state of being. Pray for the universe to help you, and then seek and accept help in every way possible. You can either live in your joy of your unlimited creative power, or you can languish in the addiction, but you can't do both. All right. I like it.
You could also, I suppose, you could, what's the phrase? There's a term for that. You could multitask it. You could switch back and forth. Go to one, go to the other, go to one, go to the other. But when you're doing that, you're just dividing your time between one thing you want and one thing you don't want. So you're still stuck there.
You're still depleting yourself on the thing that you don't want.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I was really noticing lately how easily we fall into that trap too, because you mentioned the ability to be addicted. I'm not sure ability is the right word. The tendency to be addicted to negative thought, negative emotions, negative stuff we don't like, stuff we don't prefer. And we all do it, and many of us do it quite unconsciously, and many of us will go out of our way to defend it. I've really been noticing that a lot lately. People who know the law of attraction to some extent, understand deliberate creation to some extent, and then when some topic comes along that they really, really don't like, it's like all the knowledge goes right out the window. It's like they forgot the whole thing. And I've even seen some people say, well, law of attraction applies whenever I'm trying to attract something, but it doesn't apply over here. You know, not in this area that I really, really dislike. It doesn't apply over there. There's an example of really defending. I am going to defend my focus on this thing I really, really don't like. I see it so often, and I see it in myself. It's a reminder to like, boy, I can just fall into that trap just like anybody else. But by the same token, by having the awareness, we talked about the awareness earlier, I can also break the cycle. Because that's really what it's all about. With an addiction of any kind, we want to break that cycle. And the way to break it starts with noticing it and continues with finding a way to let go of it so that we don't have to keep going back to it over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to look for something, but I can't find it in my computer.
By the way, Jeffrey, when we were talking about the stuff that we go to, the negative emotions and so forth, he volunteered guilty. He does it too. So totally with you, Jeffrey. Know exactly what you mean.
I had this quote that was a Doreen Virtue quote, which was a prayer for releasing your sugar addiction.
Oh, really?
And I have to find it because I had released my sugar addiction, but it's back. I've been letting it get the best of me lately. So, if I find it, I'll remember it next week so I can.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, all of these processes, all these methods and so forth for releasing addictions and so forth, they're really just ways of getting us to change our attention, to change our focus.
Yeah. But I have to say, I said this prayer, this thing about sugar addiction, and I didn't crave sugar. It was instant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, wait a minute, I'm back on sugar again. Not that much, but more than I should be.
Well, you were responsive because you've done so much work on yourself and you've helped other people do work on themselves that you're very attuned. So when you realize, oh, yes, I'm not focusing where I want to, you find a method, you use the method, and you get a quick result. Why? Because you've been working on yourself. You are in that zone, so to speak. And that's a great thing. That's what I've been learning to do, and our listeners, I know, have been learning to do it, and it's great. That's part of the process of learning to be a really top quality deliberate creator.
Yeah. Yep. We said we were going to maybe do a show on Ho'oponopono one time.
We did, yeah. We said that about a month ago, I think it was. Yeah.
Doing it, and then for some reason or other, we'll have to do that. But basically, Ho'oponopono, you may have heard of it before. It was like 4 phrases, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Mm-hmm.
So really, it's a conversation between you and the divine, right? So when you say, please forgive me, a lot of people don't like that part about it. But you're just saying, please forgive me for not knowing that this pattern is continuing within me, for not knowing that I'm carrying this in my energy field, right? So you can, like I do this all the time. I fall asleep listening to 108 meditation. I'm sorry, please. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say it whenever, it's just kind of just running in the background. That's really what you want to get to.
Right.
And Vitali did some great courses with Ihaliakula Hulen, who is this Hawaiian guy.
Congratulations on pronouncing that name, by the way.
Yeah, I learned it. He was a psychiatric doctor. I can't speak today. My mind's going faster than my mouth. Working in a psych ward. Now, do you know the story of this at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that story.
So
yeah.
He, for those who don't know it, they couldn't keep a doctor on staff because it was a really dangerous place. I mean, people would walk down the walls with their back against the wall just to make sure that they knew what was coming or not coming right. So they couldn't hold on to staff. They couldn't even paint the place. The paint would be peeling off the walls. I mean, it was really in disarray. And so they asked him if he would come in, and he said, sure, but only if I never see the patients. Just give me their files.
Which is a funny request.
So they're like, okay, we didn't have to lose. So he would have their files, and he would read the horrific things that they did.
Right.
And, of course, this is what I always talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The outer reflects the inner. So if this file shows up in front of him, something about that exists within him. Okay?
The idea that the entire world is thus pushed out, as Neville Goddard would say it. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything's a mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically clearing whatever is running within him that has created this person's experience, his experience, and it to be in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. It doesn't matter what the order is. Those are the words. I mean, you could even just be doing, thank you, I love you. Thank you, I love you. Thank you, I love you. So
by the way, you mentioned something I wanted to touch on too. You mentioned how somebody can have trouble with the idea of please forgive me. And I have to admit, I had that difficulty too. What I reminded myself of to make it easier for me to handle that concept is, in reality, since I'm connected to source energy and you're connected, we're all connected to source energy. We're all connected to each other. And source energy is the source for creation. Well, it's not a far-fetched thing to say we are God. So when I'm asking forgiveness, I'm asking myself to forgive myself.
Yes.
And that's the way I remember it. It's like, oh yeah, I just need to be nicer to myself. I got to give myself some slack. Forgive myself.
We're all connected, right?
We're all connected.
We're all connected. So if those horrible things out there are happening, somewhere that program's running within you, or they wouldn't show up in your experience.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what he did. And within 2 years, basically everybody was cured and they closed the place down.
Which is insane. I mean, that's a funny word to say insane, but I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's amazing.
Within months, some people were being let out.
Mm-hmm.
Visitations and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they were able to repaint the place and have it look nice.
Mm-hmm.
The staff were friendly. Like everything changed, not just the particular patients that he would be clearing for and with himself, but the whole entire place changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to tell you something. I know if you listen to any of Joe Vitale's courses, he'll tell you experiences he's had that has changed from that. I mean, I've done it. I've seen things changing just from doing that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I love the stories that kind of play off of that. I mean, that's one really outstanding example of how you can change your focus, because that's really what he was doing. He was changing his focus on how he thought about the people who were there, shifting that whole energy, and as a result, the situation had to change because he was thinking about it differently. Sean Aker, the positive psychology guru, talks about places where people have, administrators and so forth, have implemented policies about if you see another staff member in the facility that you're in, and you're at least 10 feet away, you're supposed to at least smile at each other. And if you pass each other, then you're supposed to greet each other. And you basically go through these patterned exercises like this in order to shift the way yourself and everybody else are thinking about and feeling about this institution that you're working in. And in fact, there was one, I think it was a hospital, I believe it was actually in Hawaii, where they implemented this. It was a hospital that was deep in debt. They were basically going out of business. Bankruptcy was looming and so forth. This administrator came in, implemented this policy. The doctors were all against it. They weren't going to participate. It was beneath them. They were too busy healing patients. They couldn't be bothered with this kind of nonsense. But the staff members took it up. And the staff members ran with it. They started doing it every day. And the doctors found that they liked it so much just because it felt good that they started to participate. And then an amazing thing happened. Well, first of all, the healing rates went up. The bed stays, the number of days that people were holding beds, dropped precipitously. A lot more healing going on. And most important of all, from the doctor's point of view, the doctors who were thinking about transferring to other hospitals stayed at a lower rate of pay because it was such a nice place to work. I love that part the best.
Proves how love is contagious, because that's ultimate energy.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many stories like that. So many places where people have implemented this kind of policy and just produced amazing results. Yeah.
You know, with Ho'oponopono, Dr. Hugh Lennon talks about the child, the mother, and the father.
Mm-hmm.
So the subconscious mind is the child,
mm-hmm.
the conscious mind is the mother, and the superconscious mind is the father,
mm-hmm.
Which is what he calls the I, the one,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing. You know, I can never teach it. I don't think. If I do it, well, I do teach it because I have clients of mine who start taking that up and see. I mean, one of my clients had her son moved out of the house. They had no idea where he was. Nothing.
Oh my!
No contact for like 2 years.
Whoa!
So she started working with me, and I was teaching her, you know, with other things that we were clearing and the outer reflecting the inner and all this kind of stuff. And then I had her start doing Ho'oponopono.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, the next week her son shows up.
Oh wow!
Her son shows up.
Yeah, after 2 years.
Again, and you know they're going through whatever they're going through.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty cool. That's very cool. By the way, Sarah posted something in the live chat. She said, "I'm so glad I tuned in tonight. I am so struggling right now with an addiction with emotional eating, and I really needed to hear this today." So we definitely hit the right topic.
Yeah, all right.
Well done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wish I could find that little prayer, because you could probably just change the wording to whatever the addiction is. This one was sugar. But anyway.
Well, you could probably do the same thing with I can never pronounce it, the Ho'oponopono. You just use the 4 phrases. I mean, that accomplishes the same thing, you know?
Yeah. And you can, it's not like, it's not like you have to look at the problem and he calls it cleaning and clean on it. You just have to clear yourself.
Right.
So it's okay to have an intention that I'm going to use Ho'opono now because I want to release this pattern of this addiction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just
nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, you just keep releasing because, you know, God, your higher self, knows what needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll just, it's like that with the healing. When I give healing people, it's like for whatever is for their highest good. We might be working on a certain topic, but when the healing comes through, it's either for that or for something else. I don't know. The healing's just coming through.
My sister talks about how she used to be a member of a spiritualist church in Washington, D.C., and she talks about how people would come in, and the way these churches work is there are leaders of the church who are all psychic, and they give psychic readings to people who are attending and so forth. And inevitably what happens is somebody will get a reading, and it'll be about something that's really important to them. And then there'll be a side effect. There'll be somebody else who will get something else out of it that was completely unrelated to the conversation, and it will fix some deal or help them, align in some way, or in some way change something in their life that was completely unrelated to that one thing, except for one little thread. That one little thread connected the whole thing.
So that speaks right to that power of group healing.
Right. Exactly.
We did a little show on that a while back.
That's right. Yeah.
Kind of based on the power of 8, but not really. The power of 8. It's just basically.
In fact, sometimes she said that the psychic who would give a reading, and often it was multiple psychics giving readings to the same person, but very often a psychic would give a reading, and the reading would kind of rebound back to them. They'd realize afterward, oh my God, that wasn't just for the person I was reading; it was also for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be in a healing session sometimes, and I have stuff coming through. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm taking this too. I'm taking this too. Yeah.
It's funny how this stuff works. It's really amazing.
So this one's vibrational energy deck. These are always short and sweet, but I don't know, something about this deck. I really just like it. I've
gotten to the point where I just trust whatever deck you pick up because it's always the right one. Ooh, that's a little scary looking. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of a spooky picture because it's like, this almost a dark creature there.
It's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
If I talk, then maybe I'll be on camera, right? And the lightning bolt, and there's a circle down below, and I don't know, I can't make out if those are leaves or birds or what that is.
But the lightning bolt seems to be emerging right from her. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah, everything's coming right from the center of her.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, forces of nature. Okay, definitely going to need glasses for this. If you've ever watched a thunderstorm, you will have seen that when it reaches its peak, the crack of thunder and electrical vibration flows from heaven to earth in a momentary flow, reconnecting and energizing it from within. Then it passes, allowing a stillness to open up, letting us know all is calm and refreshed. Don't fight what cannot be controlled. Let it go. Ooh. And that was my experience yesterday with that little bit of whatever it was. The energy with that rainbow, I mean, it was like that. You ever go out after a storm and you just feel or like right after a big snow and like it's and peaceful and feels so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And usually it is affecting all 5 senses. I mean, you get the ozone smell, so you get the smell affected. And then like with the snow, you have the vision, the visual of, the blanket of white everywhere. And you have the hearing, like you said, in this case, it's actually almost the absence of sound with snow. But with a thunderstorm during the summer, it just the sound, there's a certain sound to both during, but also after a rainstorm. There's a sound of the environment. Have you ever noticed that? It's like I don't know what to call it. There's like a tingly sound. It's a calm, yeah, but it's an energetic calm.
Like a hum.
Oh, a hum, yes, it's a hum. Yes, yeah.
But that card talks about the stillness at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in that stillness when you expand into your truth. And that's the thing about coming back into the meditative place and just reconnecting with you and letting go of all this other stuff that's distracting you, like just purging things. Even social media, like I hardly am on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Hardly, because it just doesn't bring me anywhere that I want to be. In fact, most of the time you wind up, you might see that this cute little animal thing. That's I always share that kind of stuff. Any little love things or where somebody achieves something, but then this horrible thing come through.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I don't want to be ignorant of it, but I don't want to take it into my field.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's where unfollow comes in really handy. But you're right. I mean, it's also very handy to just not spend a lot of time. I'm to the point now where I literally spend 60 seconds or less when I total it up for the day on social media. And it's basically long enough to go into the notifications and say, yep, read them all. I'm done, and move out. Right.
I'll post something here and there just to be a little bit in touch.
Just occasional. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, social media is almost like news in a sense, because news has that really strong, I don't like this function to it. And a lot of social media is, I don't like this. So in that sense, there's a similarity that goes on. So good thing to avoid.
Or being addicted to your phone. There's an addiction for you.
No kidding.
When I was doing theta healing courses in New York City, I couldn't get over how as soon as everybody went in the elevator, phones. Walking down the street, phones. Like sitting, having a cup of coffee, phone. Like everywhere I looked, and just about everyone was on their phone. I'm like, and I thought, like, oh my God, I'm doing it too. So once I realized it, I was like, I'm not taking my phone out. Just gonna look around, in the elevator. I was taking my phone out because I wanted to see if anybody called me because I was in this course and stuff. But even that, I'm like, well, hold on, let's just chill. I'll do that before I leave. Instead, I'll do that on the elevator, or on the bus, right, or on the ferry across the Hudson River. Do I have to be on my phone? No, I'd rather just look at whatever there is to see.
Yeah. Well, Louise and I were in Starbucks yesterday. We were meeting a potential employee who we actually hired. And I was noticing exactly the same thing because you know how it is in a Starbucks. You got they come in for their coffee or their lattes, whatever. And they're all sitting around the chairs and they all have the phones in front of them and they're all in that position. I'm looking down there and I'm moving my thumbs and I'm doing my stuff on my phone. And I thought to myself, boy, am I glad that the three of us are sitting here actually chatting. None of us had a phone out. We were just talking about gardening because that's obviously what she was being interviewed for. And she was, very enthusiastic person. Really, she's a good hire, I can tell. But her enthusiasm what level was so high. You could tell she gets jazzed. She gets an alignment by doing gardening. Every sentence that came out of her mouth reinforced that. She was just alive with gardening. And boy, that's such a better conversation than anything you're going to get on social media.
But there's good and bad though, because we are so connected because it's like, even with the work I do, there's no separation. I have a client in Australia, I have one in Florida, if I have one in England, it makes no difference because we have this connection.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's all there.
I'm grateful for all of that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I've met a lot of great people I've never seen in person.
Sure.
Through Facebook.
You and me, we've never actually met in person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we see each other at least.
We do.
A little more real.
Right.
So that's all good. But, it's just like, when does it get to that addiction point? And when is it?
I think there's a clue. We talked about it. It's alignment. If you're not feeling in alignment, you're addicted. Because you're constantly focusing on something that isn't feeding you. That's an addiction.
Right. Or maybe it's false feeding you.
Or false feeding. Sure. Yeah.
If you go out into nature, it's a whole different kind of feeding.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
That's why Abraham is right on when they talk about the importance of paying attention to what you feel. Because when you're paying attention to that and you're looking only for what feels good, you are aligning. That is the process of aligning. So it's like the ultimate barometer, I guess. Yeah. It's a gauge. It tells us instantly where we're at.
So when I came out of meditation, I think it was this morning, and so clearly I just got the message that I always knew, but it's like I heard it new again, is that all I need to do is just stay connected to the light and share that light.
Yeah.
It's simple. Because that's what really lights me up, is to be able to share that light with people.
Sure.
So why get stuck in all the crap that's been going through that I don't even know what it was? Right?
I ask myself that question a lot. I do. And I think it's part of my process for my own growth of not just identifying the fact that I do focus on stuff too much that I don't really want to focus on, but also having opportunities to remind myself over and over again, I really don't want to be focusing there. Why don't I shift my attention to something else?
Right.
Using whatever method works best for me at that moment. Why don't you just shift to something that feels better? And indeed, I've even gotten to the point where I'm changing that phrasing. It isn't so much why not, it's wouldn't it be better if I'll feel better. I know I'll feel better when I change my focus. So I'm going to change my focus right now. Just by changing the way I say that, I get myself into a better place.
Right.
Yeah.
And just by looking at it, you start to soften it, And then you have to not be hard on yourself. Like, all right. So
tell me about it.
You fell into the negative thinking for a while, okay, but you got out of it. You looking at some of the comments here?
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey was talking about some of the cards he was drawing. Looking at the mystery behind the mask. Yeah. Well, that mask is one that we create, isn't it? Everybody has that mask that they create, and the mystery behind that mask is the thing that we're in many ways hiding from ourselves.
Yeah, or afraid to go into.
Or afraid to go into. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's good stuff. Honor instinctual animal selves as a source of creative abundance and order. It's interesting. Animal spirits and so forth is not something I've ever really delved into. I don't know if you've ever done anything with that, but I know that, certainly Native American cultures will often, place a heavy emphasis on that. And I think, you know what? I kind of get the sense those are like the early oracle cards before there were cards.
Animal spirit?
Yeah. I mean,
Everybody loves animal spirit. We're going to pull one.
Oh, you got an animal spirit card. Okay, that's good. Yeah, let's do that.
The other day I had this lime green big dragonfly land on me.
Oh, my.
And as I said, so my first instinct was, and I saw it was a dragonfly, and it stayed through my freak out, right? I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to react that way. You're so beautiful. And I started having a conversation with it. And it stayed with me for a little while. That was a gift because I haven't had them land on me all the time. I see them in my backyard all the time.
Well, Louise loves them. She tells a story about how one time she was sitting in the backyard where we used to live, and she was on a lawn chair, the extendable type lawn chair, so her feet were up and so forth. And she's reading a book, and a dragonfly lands on her toe and stays there for the entire time that she's reading.
Wow.
It was like a half an hour or something like that,
I have one. Where is it?
Oh, yeah, there. You have a tattoo.
It's hard to see. It's hard to see in that view.
No, you can see it from there. Yeah, that's a good view.
All right, so let's get an animal spirit card.
Okay, let's see what the animal spirits have to tell us today.
Yeah. What are we going to get? Because the animals, they do bring messages, especially when something comes across and you're like, I never saw that fox before. I don't know, it's the first time I've ever seen a fox, or whatever, right?
Well, that's why I say for, especially for Native American cultures, I think they were like before there were decks, they were the early oracle decks because they were able to tap into these messages, like you say, the animals gave them, and without having cards,
Bobcat spirit, light
Okay.
mystery.
So it's the mystery concept again. We just talked about mystery a moment ago.
And it's number 8.
Before it was mystery of the mask. Let's see what the mystery of the bobcat is.
Number 8. And I will definitely need glasses again. Some of these decks aren't that bad, but some of them. Okay, so it says, the Oracle's message. The bobcat moves furtively and mysteriously. And when Bobcat Spirit appears to you, she brings a powerful reminder that not all things in life can be explained or understood through the power of intellect.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, we were stuck, right? Trying to figure things out. So trying to figure things out, find logical explanations, or predict what will happen based on reasons and facts will not provide you with the certainty and comfort that you seek. I've done a video on that, trying to figure it all out. A bobcat asks you to trust in the great mystery and let the secrets of the universe reveal themselves to you through direct experience. Allow your vision to slip into soft focus, and you will see between the lines and observe what has been hidden there all along. Wow. Bobcat Spirit helps you know intimately the pulse of the divine in the world. Trust in the wisdom and the revelations that come to you, yet know that understanding may not come as you would like it to. Yeah, that's key.
That is.
What you experience through your heart and intuition, which comes to you as the voice of your inner knowing, will guide you now as you accept that secrecy is woven into the fabric of existence. No matter what, the appearance of Bobcat Spirit is a sign telling you that you're being called to trust, even when what is revealed does not agree with your need for intellectual certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard because I actually have to need to know how do things work or have to be proven. I can just go with it.
That's a great skill to have, let me tell you, because I have the other side of that. I know exactly what that other side is like. So, good stuff. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I just realized, unfortunately, we're kind of at the end of our time here, but I want to make sure I get a little announcement in, which is if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, look what you're missing. I mean, it's different every single show for certain, but Fridays we do a lot with the Oracle cards because Linda has like the most amazing collection of cards I've ever seen. So feel free to join us, and the way to do it is by subscribing. Go to loatoday.net. The instructions are right there at the top of the page. You can also find us in all of the major podcast platforms. We're in iTunes. We're in Google Play. We're in Spotify. We're in, Pandora. We're in every place you can think of where you might find a podcast. So subscribe in any of those places. But if you can't find us in any of those, which is pretty amazing, just go to loatoday.net and you'll be able to subscribe there as well. And feel free to tune in and watch us when we live stream on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and do a search for LOA Today podcast videos. Hit the subscribe button. Be sure you hit the little bell so you get notified whenever we post something. And that way you can see our faces as well as hear our voices. And also, Linda, tell people how they can reach out to Linda Armstrong, the Energy Life Coach, in case they need a little personal help.
Sure. Just go to my website, lovemylife.coach. Lots of stuff there. You can always find me on YouTube as well. Just search Linda Armstrong. And you'll see me.
Yeah, you really can't miss Linda on YouTube. I mean, she is literally all over the place. So yeah, if you can't find Linda, send an email to walt@loatoday.net and I will redirect you. But I guarantee you, Linda, I won't be getting any emails because you're so easy to find.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for spending this time. Thank you to our live stream listeners and to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Everyone.